Alright, so we're going to look into notification channels. The reason we need to do this is that starting from Android 8.0 or API 26, notifications actually do basically have to use notification channels. Otherwise, you just can't push any notifications. If you are having your uh, target SDK below 26, then it's perfectly fine. It works. However, if you are doing the 26 and above, in this case, I have Target SDK version 27, you would need to use notification channels. So if you're doing this, you do need to go through this channel process. And basically, I will show a quick view of how it might look in this case. I have an application called notification, and in the notification pages, you can see that there's a bunch of toggles. Typically, you could customize this as much as you want, but in this case, I've created a instance of a text messaging app, for example. So notifications get categorized based on groups. In this case, one of my groups is SMS, and the other group is promotions. So in this case, SMS has two channels, right? So picture is one channel, text is one channel. And I was thinking like maybe the application would send different set of notification based on if the message you received might be text or picture. But that doesn't matter. That's just the channel. The user can turn it on and off. And the same thing goes for promotion. So this is kind of starting to get forced on Android. It's trying to let the user have more option so that the applications don't just have one general notification like this. So let's go ahead and see how this was created. And by the way, this code is available in GitHub, so you don't have to type it as always. I will put a link in the description. So the app has we got the three buttons that will push a notification, each of picture, text, and the promotions, which is that one right there. I should have called it ads, but that's what it is. And this also does help the user try and kind of customize things. So for example, if you see picture has no sound, text does not have sound as well, but weekly ads do. So if I come here and set a notification and we send one, great. Let's do the picture one, picture notification and promotion. I don't know if you heard that, but that did make a noise, so that's what it does. They can modify what type of notification they come, but it could also change the sounds and vibrations and whatnot. So um, somewhat easy. Basically everything is in our main activity. There's a bunch of strings and stuff, and you can go ahead and browse, and the main layout is not that difficult, just three buttons. So these two there's some codes in there, but not as important. What we will need to be looking at is that we need a notification manager, right? So this is basically where we're going to be creating our groups, and this is where we're going to put our channels at the end, and I'll go through that one by one. But this is basically what we need. We need an instance of notification manager, and we basically just call this method notification service, and we get an instance of it. In this case, I had two channels, or excuse me, two groups, right? So I have SMS, and over here I have promotions. So these are two different groups, and that's what I'm doing. I'm telling the notification manager that I'm creating a notification channel group. Okay, so I'm creating the group, and I'm kind of putting it directly, but if you don't want to do something like that, you could do notification channel group, and then put that in there. That's basic Java. I hope most people know that. And then you could call more stuffs on this. Didn't really go through the exact API. Well, actually, there's not much. You could get the ID and stuff, but that's about it. Now, if you are gonna have a lot of groups, um, you can as well create, so this is what I've done. I've done it individually. I'm creating a notification group for SMS, and then I'm creating another one for promotion. So if you have, this is two and it doesn't matter, but if you have more than one, you can actually create another, call another method called create notification channel groups, and then you can give it a list of them, right? So if you have like 10 or 20 or whatever, um, that would be another option for you. So that's it. I mean, that's actually how you create the groups. Simple, bimpo. Um, in the constructor itself, it needs a group ID and a name. Um, and we will need this group later on so we can put our channels under it. So this is important. We need to keep the group ID. And the string is just, what is going to be up here. So one is SMS and the other strings are promotions, SMS. Um, and then I'll talk about when group is used, which is down here. Now we're creating the notification channels themselves, right? So in this case, we have three of them. Picture, text, and weekly ads are notification channels. And the same way as we created the groups, we need IDs, right? So the same way this had group ID, and it does get a little bit messy, but we need to track the IDs of each one for later on. So this one has an SMS channel ID, and then we need a string for it. Same way I put this stuff in my string XML. So this one is called text, right? So this notification channel is called text. And then I have one for picture. Picture is another notification channel. And weekly ads is our third and final one. And in this case, you also need a third one, which is the importance, also known as priority. I believe that's what it's called previously. And this is basically like how important the notification is. It goes from somewhere high, low, max, minimum, none. In this case, I'm setting all of them to default. And it basically just creates an instance of which notification comes top. But since all my notifications are on default, it's based on which one was pushed last. So the newest one will always come top, if they're on the same priority, of course. So SMS is built that way. We create the notification channel. We give it the ID and the name as we did, which was picture in this case. Oh, it was text. The next one was picture. And the priority as discussed. And the exact same process goes for the next ones, right? So we give the picture the same, not the same, a different channel ID and a different display and priority. That depends on how you're building. And after creating these individual notification channels, we need to categorize them, right? So in this case, I've created the SMS, I've created the picture, but then I have to set them inside the group. So this is where the group ID is actually going to be used in. The reason picture and text are both under SMS is because they're set under the same group ID, right? Group ID SMS is being used for both picture notification and SMS notification channel, which are both, it's a constant, the value doesn't matter, but it's important that they're under the same group ID. And to create our third notification channel, same process. You can have an ID, the string, display string, and a priority. And there's a bunch of, IDs and stuff. And you can place these anywhere that you want, name them however you want. It just matters on how you're actually going to be using them. So in this case, for example, they had to be exactly the same so that they could be under the same group. But in this case, I don't want my promotion to be under SMS, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I've created that different group promotions up here, and I gave it the group ID promotion, right? So I don't want it to be under group ID SMS. I would like it to be under group ID promotion. So promotion notification channel will be under group ID promotions. And that's how we categorize them. And at the end of the day, we just create the notification channels using the original notification manager. We'll create the notification, and since they've already been categorized under their own group, this should be perfectly fine. And down here is just the on-click listeners to create the listeners in terms of creating our custom notification. The notifications don't actually do much, and you can build on top of them, obviously. So for example, a notification channel could be further customized. You could set the sound of it, right? You could set the sound. You could say no one have set vibration perhaps, pattern, and there's I believe also another to enable vibration. So if you'd like to have vibration on your notification or not, you could say I'd like to have lights. Some phones actually do have lights, and then you just give it an RGB. So if you like specific colors, most phones don't have. I remember a couple of phones that did. So you do have that option, and then there's a whole bunch of other things that you could do down here. So this is where the customization goes, right? Notification channel. And I do remember I talked about this where I said some of these don't have any sounds and then the weekly does. This is where some of your customization goes. And you can set them, but then you cannot edit it anymore, right? So you're creating and you're giving it some sort of default value. But if the user goes and specifically says, no, for example, I don't want this to make any sound or I'd like it to go lower, then that's what that is, right? And it just kind of gets pushed down, right? So SMS is all the way at the bottom. Let's see. So you don't even see it on the status bar anymore. That's interesting. But see if I send more notifications, yep, it's just really low. Oops. Even if I do a picture and then send an SMS, so SMS is the last one, it's still at the bottom because it's a lower priority. Okay, there's not much going on in the on-click. This is super simple. Again, you can build off on the builder, same same instance, vibrate or lights and stuff or whatever, but you don't really need to, right? Because you just do it by the channel now. This would kind of generify it as all notifications. If you create a notification and then do it on that builder, and then it would kind of just make it global in some way. So you need to do it channel ID. That's the whole point of what we're doing right now. So if you'd like to have vibration, for example, for one of your channels, let's say SMS or something, you would just come up here and say enable vibration true, and that's it, because SMS channel ID does have enable, and then down here when we set the channel ID, it knows that this notification is associated with that notification. So yeah, so the on-clicks, as I mentioned, don't do really much. We just create an instance of notification builder to create thing. The icon is the same for all of them, and I build them the same way. I just use a different notification ID so that I don't replace my previous notification. So we get a couple of instances of them. And it's important to put that set channel ID. As I mentioned, if the user goes and edits something and we push that type of notification, we need to put the appropriate channel ID so we don't create any noise or vibration when the user specifically either said no sound or turned them off, right? So if I turn picture off and I don't give this channel ID and I give a different one, guess what? It will still make a sound because promotion still has that. So you need to be careful there to give the correct IDs. But that's pretty much sums it up, right? You create the notification manager, give it a bunch of groups as you want, categorize it how you want, and that can be as categorized based on your application. Each category can have its own set of notification channels, which has specific ID, specific name, and priority. Um, and you just pass it back to the notification channel. And whenever you push that notification, or just push any type of new notification, you just need to make sure you give it the correct channel ID, right? And that's how it will go back and look at what type of settings it had, such as vibration, lights, and etc. All right, and that was a short video on how notification channels work.